Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Friday, the 31st of July. I am your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about China has started using US-based AI models for their defense systems. Trump has said they have reached a deal to disarm Hamas, and Iran is going to get Chinese shoulder-fired anti-air missiles. So firstly, Chinese military researchers have used outputs from leading US AI models from OpenAI and Anthropic to train domestic defense systems, according to Reuters. Review of more than 80 academic papers and patents. The technique known as model distillation extracts the reasoning of a powerful system to build a smaller model that runs locally on a drone, satellite, or tactical hardware. The findings show that PLA-linked institutions treat US frontier models as a shortcut around Washington's chip and technology export controls. So what? Distillation likely lets China narrow specific capability gaps without needing to build frontier AI models themselves from scratch, which would be much more difficult with restrictions on the chips they can get from NVIDIA and other like US sanctions. It'll likely become a central flashpoint in the US-China AI governance talks, which are due to take place in September, especially as this kind of technology ramps up. We recently had the issues around the Fable model not being released outside of US individuals until it was. And stuff like that. And I think it's likely that tighter US controls on model access and outputs is likely, though fully preventing distillation is unlikely just due to the difficulty of doing it. And next, President Trump said that talks in Cairo have produced a phased agreement to disarm Hamas and other armed groups in Gaza, calling it a historic step towards lasting peace. Hamas described it as a draft, insisting that heavy weapons would stay under Palestinian administration and that no disarmament would begin before Israel withdraws fully. An Israeli official said that Israel had rejected the proposal and demanded a full demilitarization as a precondition while strikes continue and have killed at least six Palestinians on the same day. So what? I think it's unlikely that there's going to be a full disarmament of Hamas in the near term, just given the gaps between the two groups' demands and, Israel's demands of full disarmament before implementing it and Hamas's demands of Israel's withdrawal before disarmament. It's not really an agreement, in my opinion. And the deal is a conditions-based framework rather than a binding commitment, so the implementation is likely to stall out, especially as Israel continues to strike, signaling that they do not treat the agreement as operative just yet. And lastly, Iran is set to receive Chinese shoulder-fired missile systems within weeks, sources told Reuters on the 29th of July. The transfer would bolster Iran's short-range air defense systems after recent US and Israeli strikes on its territory. It also deepens China-Iranian military supply ties and marks a shift from commercial energy trade towards direct defense cooperation. So what? The system will likely improve Iran's ability to contest low-altitude air and drone threats. In particular, it'll give them the ability to conduct ambushes in the case of any incursion. Shoulder-fired systems are easy to move around, harder to detect up until firing, and it does give the Iranian military an ability to evade detection before striking against US targets. They would be, in my opinion, most helpful in the case of some kind of land invasion where they could be used to take out low-flying helicopters that were trying to insert troops and other similar military activity. But they will also be good for defense for Iran, taking out drones that are trying to strike specific targets. And they're hard to take out before, any kind of attack. So a very versatile system. Highlighted by how the US gave it to the Mujahideen in Afghanistan to fight against the Russians, where it was extremely effective. Just a similar situation to that. Beijing is highly likely probing Western reactions while keeping the deal deniable by using intermediaries. A pretty common tactic by China. Keep it deniable. They can always say that, it's not us, we're not doing it. It's going through these other people. And it's likely that there'll be new US sanctions against the firms involved in the near term, especially if the weapons do get delivered and it's proved. But anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again next week. See you.